All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a totally new kind of software. I don't just mean a program that follows instructions, I'm talking about software that can operate all on its own.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Not just automating a task, but software that can actually see a situation, think about what to do, and then take independent action to make it happen. Sounds a little like science fiction, right? Well, this isn't some far-off idea. It's the core of a technology that's taking shape right now.
And there's a name for this concept. It's called the AI agent. This is the term we use for these new autonomous entities. And honestly, giving a handle on how they work is absolutely key to understanding where AI is headed next.
Okay, so let's really break this definition down, because every single word here matters. Autonomous. That just means it works by itself. But how? By perceiving its environment, making decisions, and then taking actions. You see, this is so much more than a simple script running in the background. It's a system with a purpose. So the big question is, how does an agent actually pull all this off? Well, it all comes down to one fundamental cycle. You can think of it as a simple but really powerful blueprint that governs every single thing an agent does. And here it is. Observe, decide, act. That's it. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But this little three-step loop is the engine that drives every single AI agent out there. It's just constantly spinning through this cycle, sensing the world, figuring out what to do, and then doing it. So let's pull this loop apart, piece by piece, and build out what you could call the anatomy of a digital being.
First things first, an agent has to be able to perceive its world. Now, it doesn't have eyes or ears like we do, so how does it observe? Well, it's all about data. This stage is basically its set of digital senses.
So an agent sees by pulling in information from all over the place. It might be reading a log file to check on a system's health, or maybe it's making an API call to get the latest weather forecast. It could get a little ping from a webhook telling it a new user just signed up, even just processing the words you type into a chat. Yep, that's a form of perception too.
But here's the catch. The raw data the agent gets is usually pretty messy. It's often just a jumble of text, kind of like this log entry here. To an agent, at first glance, this is just noise. It's a meaningless string of characters. It can't do anything with this. Not yet, anyway.
And that's where a really important step called parsing comes in. The agent takes that messy line of text and breaks it down into a neat, structured format that it can actually understand, something like this table. So now it's not just a blob of text anymore, it's separate, clean pieces of info, a timestamp, a level, a message. Suddenly that data has meaning.
And that right there is why the observe stage is so incredibly critical. Getting perception right, turning all that messy raw data into something structured and useful, is the absolute foundation for every single smart decision the agent is going to make. Without it, the agent is basically flying blind.
Okay, so our agent has now seen its environment, it's organized the data, so what's next? Well, now it's time for the second, and you could argue the most important part of the loop. It needs to think. Welcome to the decide stage. This is where we build the agent's brain. An agent's brain can work in a couple of main ways. The first is pretty straightforward. Simple, rule-based logic. Just think classic if-then statements. If you see an error, then send an alert. It's super fast, super predictable, perfect for simple reactive stuff. But then there's the other way, using large language models or LLMs. This lets the agent use much more flexible, creative reasoning, which is fantastic for things like understanding natural language or coming up with complicated multi-step plans.
And this is what really separates a basic script from a true intelligent agent. A script just does what it's told, step by step. But an agent? Well, it looks at the situation and actually chooses what to do next. That ability to make its own decisions is what really makes it intelligent.
All right, so our agent has seen the world, and it's decided on a course of action. What's left? The final step is to actually do the thing. This is the act stage. And if the decide stage was the brain, you can think of this part as the agent's digital hands. This is how it actually interacts with and changes its world.
Now, what comes out of the brain isn't the action itself. It's more like an instruction, a really clear, specific command. It might look something just like this, a simple directive that tells the next part of the system exactly what needs to happen.
So, how does a simple command like send email actually turn into a real email in someone's inbox? Well, the agent uses a set of what we call tools. And these tools are really just little pieces of code, functions or scripts that are designed to do one specific job. So you might have a tool to post on social media, another tool to write to a database, and in this case, a tool that sends emails. The agent's brain doesn't need to know the nitty-gritty of how to send an email. It just needs to know that the send email tool exists and that now is the right time to use it.
And that's it. That completes the loop. Observe, decide, act. The agent does something, that action changes the world around it, and boom, the whole cycle starts right back up again with a new observation. So when we put all these pieces together, what have we actually built?
Well, what we've really outlined here is the anatomy of a digital being. It's got senses to observe the world through data, it's got a brain to decide what to do, and it has hands, its tools to act on that world. This simple, really elegant loop is the fundamental blueprint for any piece of autonomous software.
But, you know, all this power brings up a really big, really important question we have to think about. As these digital beings get smarter, more autonomous, and start making really complex decisions all on their own, who's ultimately responsible for what they do? When an agent takes an action, who's accountable? That's a huge question, and it's one we're all going to have to figure out as this technology keeps pushing forward. Thanks for joining me.